Welcome back from that break. Now, on Thursday, the names of some of the principal officers in the Senate were announced. How did that happen? Find out in the next report.
Okay, you rise. Yes, I wish them...
Days of infighting, horse trading, nocturnal meetings eventually culminated in this. The Senate President finally announced the names of the senators to take up the remaining leadership positions in the Senate.
Northwest APC caucus to me nominating for the position of Deputy Majority Leader or Senator Balanala in line with these standing rules. Announcement. Received a letter from the APC Northeast Caucus nominating Senator Ali Ndume as the position of the Majority Leader in line with the standing rules. Nominating Senator Francis Alimekene as Deputy Whip. Senator Francis, the Sergeant of Arms, going to take it.
But while it looked like an inevitable conclusion, a federal lawmaker challenged the decision of a Senate president to read the letters from the APC caucuses stating the names of the senators to occupy the positions of the principal officers of the Senate.
Mr. President, there was a communication from the party, from our great party, the APC, to our good self, to our good office, Mr. President. And for reasons best known to you, Mr. President, you declined to read it yesterday on the floor of the Senate. And when your attention was drawn to that executive communication from the party, this member said it cannot be read because it only said if from the party, not by the party. Now, this constitutional provision clearly puts the party ahead of any other caucus from anywhere. Therefore, if the communication from the party can so be disregarded, I submit that, Mr. President, you cannot read any communication from any caucus because there is no caucus that is bigger than the political party itself. I so submit, Mr. President.
But a lawmaker fired back at Senator MARAFA.
The issue of leadership within this chamber is our own responsibility as senators. We have been sponsored by political parties to come to this Senate, but nobody says the chairman of the party should appoint the Senate president. The law clearly states that we senators elect the Senate president, elect the Senate president, elect our leaders.
The Senate President then ruled on Senator MARAFA's point of order.
This is to be out of order or attempt to reconsider a specific question upon which the Senate has come to a conclusion upon. As said, this matter has already been raised before, on which I ruled on. And also Order 25J, 25H actually, where it says on interpretation of rules that the prerogative of the Senate President. Distinguished colleagues, I think on those two issues, I have but to rule the Senator MARAFA out of order on this issue. Thank you.
The APC on Tuesday sent 2 letters to the Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives stating its position on the candidates for the seats of the outstanding principal officers. The party zoned the seat of the Majority Leader to the Northeast, Deputy Majority Leader to the North Central, Chief Whip to the Southwest, and Deputy Chief Whip to the Northwest. The party also named its candidates to fill the positions. However, the APC zonal factions in the Senate, supported by the Senate President and in defiance of the party, held elections on Wednesday to determine who would occupy the positions of the 4 outstanding principal officers. The lawmakers adopted the zoning formula of the party, with the exception of a seat of a Deputy Chief Whip, which was zoned to the Northwest but changed to the South. The names of 3 out of the 4 principal officers in the Senate have been announced. But does this mean that the bickering over the leadership positions in the Senate has finally been resolved? And how would the party deal with the deliberate disregard of its directives? All these issues will be made clearer in the coming days. In the meantime, the Senate has adjourned legislative proceedings till July 21st, but the newly inaugurated ad hoc committees are expected to begin work.
Well, that is how events played out in the Senate. Meanwhile, in the House of Representatives, the week started on this note. It's the first investigative motion to be tabled before the 8th House of Representatives. The motion raised some questions over the refined product exchange agreement between the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and some oil trading companies in the country.
Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, in its report of 2009 to 2011 and 2012, ascertained that there was a staggering revenue loss to the tune of $8 billion due to discrepancy between the crude oil given out and the refined product delivered.
The motion, however, met some opposition.
The figures have not been sent to us by NNPC. The NNPC has not requested that any product is missing. And if you continue on this trajectory, Mr. Speaker, we're going to end back to the same committee of 2007, where these same issues have been raised, and a report written. I think we should go back to that same report to address these same issues, rather than going on a fresh one, Mr. Speaker.
But another member questioned the motion, saying the executive appears to be investigating the matter.
Since they had already started the investigation, will it be proper also for us to also continue, so that there will be no suspicion that we are trying to bring political coloration into the investigation when an investigative authority enabled by law to do that has also commenced that.
As we sit here, the press is watching. For this honorable House to have such a serious allegation of $8 billion loss for this economy that is very bad situation now, and this House said they cannot take it because somebody else is investigating it, I don't think that is proper.
It was then up to the Speaker to conclude the matter.
I sincerely believe that the allegations are grave enough to warrant some kind of legislative intervention from us. So I may just go ahead to put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against it say nay. Nay. The ayes clearly have it.
An ad hoc committee is to be set up at a later date to look into the matter. Resuming from their one-week recess, the House of Representatives commenced proceeding with a closed-door meeting. When proceedings resumed over an hour later, the Speaker presented to the House a draft legislative framework for members. He said the House will provide needed leadership in the areas of accountable and transparent governance, as well as constituency representation.
The 8th House of Representatives will also work assiduously to improve the governance processes in Nigeria by legislating to cut the cost of running government, reduce wastages, and tackle national revenue leakages.
The agenda promises to take lessons from the legislative agenda of the 7th National Assembly and confirm that the House of Representatives is indeed the People's Assembly.
The 8th House of Representatives, as a People's Parliament, will be sensitive to public demands for transparency and accountability, not just by the House of Representatives, but also by government at all levels. Our legislative actions will therefore seek to build public confidence and trust and be responsive to citizens' questions regarding the conduct of legislative business.
The Speaker then announced that 3 ad hoc committees had been set up, one on media, another to review the standing orders of the House, and another on a code of conduct for members. The day's proceedings came to an end, and nothing was said about the appointments of other principal officers of the House that are yet to be filled. Meanwhile, some caucuses of the All Progressives Congress in the House of Representatives have come out to reject the position of the party's national leadership on the zones that should produce the principal officers for the House. The North Central, Southeast and South-South zones say the party's position is against the principle of federal character as enshrined in the Constitution. The zones also say they were not consulted before the position was taken and believe the party should reconsider its position on the matter.
Also amazed by the directive of the party to the leadership of the House, and I quote, to take necessary action, unquote, on the purported choice made by the party, which we see as a clear usurpation of the powers of the zonal caucuses and their members as guaranteed by the Constitution and the standing rules of the House of Representatives. The caucus believes strongly that there should be fairness, equity in the selection of other principal positions of the House of Representatives following the emergence of both the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. We believe it will be inconsiderate of the party to consider both the Northeast and the Southwest zones after both zones have produced both the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker respectively. We urge the leadership of the party to resign this unconstitutional and provocative directive, and we are resolved to pursue this injustice via all civil and legitimate channels.
We cannot stand by and let the party sweep us all out. That is not fair, and that will not be seen as being justifiable. We condemn it, and we call on the leadership of the party to restrain its steps and to ensure that as loyal party members that we are, and as party people who have fought hard to ensure that the party is sustained in the Southeast, that we are carried along adequately in the distribution of party positions and in the scheme of things, as it were.
The proposal is insensitive to the extent that the South-South is being denied at least a substantive office, while concentrating the substantive principal offices in the zones already favored in the House of Representatives. We reject a proposal that purports to zone House Leader to Southwest in addition to Deputy Speaker, and Chief Whip to the Northeast in addition to the position of the Speaker already held.